All he wanted was peace, a chance to rebuild his family. But when his children are hurt and his wife is dragged into a world of blood and fire, Hutch Mansell makes his choice. No more running, no more hiding. What began as a family vacation becomes an open war against corrupt cops, ruthless gangs, and a syndicate queen who rules an empire. And to protect what he loves, Hutch won't just fight back, he'll bring their entire kingdom crashing down. The movie begins in a dim interrogation room. Hutch Mansell sits across the table, his body battered, his face scarred, his clothes drenched in blood. His loyal dog rests by his side. Hutch lights a match and presses the flame to a fresh wound on his hand, cauterizing it right in front of the officers. They demand answers, but he barely reacts, staring them down, and simply says he's nobody. So how did he end up here? A few days earlier, life had grown cold in the Mansell household. Hutch struggled to connect with his wife, Becca, and their 2 children, Brady and Sammy. Becca noticed a faint streak of blood on his face before she herself hurried out. A moment later, Hutch quietly rolled the trash bin to the curb, watching Brady and Sammy walk away, both too caught up in their own world to give him even a glance. When Becca returned, Hutch suggested taking the family out for summer break. She paused, suspicious, already sensing he was sliding back into his old habits. Her silence said it all. She feared the man she married was once again planning to do things he swore he had left behind. That evening, Hutch disguised himself and slipped into a luxury high-rise. His objective? Retrieve a data card. He spotted his targets, members of a dangerous gang heading for the elevator. Thinking fast, he grabbed a wet floor sign, blocked the entrance, and stepped inside with them. Hutch pulled a pistol, fired a shot straight into the man's leg, and aimed the weapon at the others. Instead of handing it over, they attacked. The cramped elevator erupted into chaos. Hutch moved like a machine, slamming, striking, and dismantling them with brutal precision. One thug tried to make a call, but Hutch stopped him. After leaving a trail of broken bodies, he rifled through the last man's suit and retrieved the data card. But the moment the elevator doors opened, another threat awaited an entire squad of Corsican gangsters, armed with heavy weapons. Gunfire exploded across the lobby. Hutch dived for cover, grabbing a loose gas cylinder. With perfect timing, he hurled it into their line, shooting it midair. Outside, a new danger appeared. Hutch was confronted by a pack of Brazilian enforcers wielding long machetes. Outnumbered and surrounded, he calmly slipped off his jean belt, wrapping it around his fists. Using it as both shield and weapon, he fought with relentless ferocity, striking, whipping, and choking until the last of them collapsed. The man who had given Hutch the mission was known as the Barber, Hutch's old government contact. Though he now ran a simple barber shop as a cover, he was once an intelligence handler who still kept a close watch on the criminal underworld. Hutch often went to him whenever he needed updates on Yulian Kuznetsov and the Russians. When Hutch arrived at his shop, he poured himself a glass of champagne. Hutch handed him the data card, which Barber carefully verified before assigning Hutch another mission. Hutch hesitated, not wanting to continue, but he had little choice. Years ago, during his days as an assassin, he had burned down the Russians' money stash. That debt had been covered by Barber and his crew, and now the only way Hutch could balance the books was by taking on these dangerous missions. With no choice, he asked for a break so he could spend some time with his family. The very next day, he told Becca and the kids about his plan for a family trip to Plummerville, a place tied to some of his best childhood memories with his father, David. While talking, he noticed a bruise on Brady's face. Brady brushed it off, claiming it came from a foul during a school game. Hutch didn't press further. The family agreed to the vacation, and David joined them. Brady, however, wasn't thrilled about his grandfather's habits. During the road trip, the family sang happily together until they arrived at Plummerville, one of the oldest resorts still standing. Hutch showed Brady and Sammy the room set aside for them, but Becca insisted they sleep separately. David gave up his own room for Brady and instead stayed in the old lodge. After settling in, they all went to the water park, only to learn the pool was closed for 24 hours because of an earlier incident. David wandered off, while the rest grabbed hot dogs. As Hutch stood there, lost in old memories of his father, he didn't realize he was being watched. A sheriff named Abel approached him, exchanged a few words, then walked away. Later, they visited the arcade. It was there that Hutch discovered Brady had lied he hadn't actually played in the game. He said left him bruised. As Brady tried winning a toy for Sammy, a boy walked up demanding an apology. Brady had earlier given the prize he won from a basketball game to the boy's girlfriend, and now the boy wanted payback. He snatched the toy, tore it in half, and Brady immediately hit him. Chaos broke out. A mobster stepped in to separate them, while the boy hurled a cricket ball only for Hutch to catch it midair. The mobster told them to leave, but before they could, Sammy tried to retrieve her broken toy and got hit in the scuffle. That sight sent Hutch into a quiet rage. Once outside, Hutch told Becca he had forgotten his phone, but in reality, he went back in to retaliate for his daughter. Becca tried stopping him, knowing what he was capable of, but Hutch charged in anyway. Just as he was about to take it further, Becca called, forcing him to stop. The entire family was then taken to the sheriff's department for questioning. Inside, Hutch's talk with Brady was cut short when Sheriff Abel brought him in to meet Wyatt Martin, the head of the police and, coincidentally, the boy's father. Wyatt explained that in Plummerville, tourists weren't free to act however they pleased. Hutch calmly told them what had happened at the arcade. Eventually, Wyatt let him go, but afterward, Abel secretly ordered his officers to gather his gang. Back at the lodge, Hutch and his family tried to smooth things over. The next day, they set out again to enjoy their vacation, while David decided to stay behind in the old lounge. Hutch soon noticed a sheriff taking photos of his family. Sensing trouble, he bought 4 tickets for a duck boat ride but didn't join them. Instead, he slipped onto a different boat to draw Abel's men away. The plan worked. The goons followed him onto the boat, though other tourists boarded too. Hutch tried to warn them, but before he could, the attack began. A brutal fight broke out as Hutch took down the gang one by one, even tossing some into the water. The passengers, wearing headphones, were completely unaware of the carnage around them. Then, things turned worse. A sheriff pulled out a knife, sliced off Hutch's pinky finger, and shoved him overboard. Wounded and struggling, Hutch climbed back up and, despite the pain, fought through the rest of the attackers until he had taken them all out. Exhausted, he staggered into the street and called his brother Harry, who had just returned from Osaka. Harry explained the truth. Plummerville wasn't just a quiet vacation town. It was an old trade route tied to a powerful syndicate, with the police working alongside them. Outsiders like Hutch weren't welcome. Hutch then reached out to the barber again. The old handler revealed that behind it all was Lendina, a ruthless figure running Plummerville's empire. Through this town, she moved guns, drugs, viruses, and other horrors from Canada to unknown destinations. She was untouchable, operating with no restrictions. The barber warned Hutch that if he kept going, Lendina would destroy his family before his eyes. Though he gave Hutch a lead on her, he made it clear he wouldn't be involved any further. Meanwhile, Wyatt was enjoying a quiet moment playing cricket with his son when Lendina's call interrupted. She reminded him that his debt was never ending. Wyatt tried to brush it off, saying their deal would be settled after this shipment, but she coldly insisted the debt was for life. Before he could argue further, she hung up. Not long after, she reached out to Abel, commanding him to remind Wyatt who truly pulled the strings. Abel obeyed by capturing Wyatt's son and locking him inside a shipping container, ready to be delivered straight to Lendina. That's when Hutch stormed in. He drenched the shipments in gasoline, poised to light them up in flames. He gave Abel a final warning: leave him and his family alone, or answer directly to Lendina. Abel reluctantly agreed to his terms and began to walk away. But just then, Wyatt's son broke free, banging against the container and crying out for help. Hutch couldn't ignore him. He turned back, rushing to save the boy. One of the thugs tries to take him out with a blade cutter, but Hutch turned him over. He untied the boy, but as they made for the exit, Abel fired his gun. Hutch instinctively returned fire, his bullet hitting a light fixture. Sparks ignited the gasoline-soaked cargo, and in seconds, the entire warehouse erupted in an explosion. Word quickly reached Lendina. Furious over the destruction of one of her most valuable shipments, she demanded Hutch's head. Abel had already sent her photos of Hutch and his family, and now she put a bounty on him. Meanwhile, Hutch returned with Wyatt's son, Max. But when Hutch explained what had happened, Becca realized her husband was slipping back into the violent life he promised to leave behind. Hutch admitted he couldn't control what was happening anymore. Becca, instead of pulling away, insisted they face this battle together as a family. Wyatt, though grateful his son was safe, was still guarded when Hutch showed up. Their old grudges boiled over, and Wyatt attacked. Hutch subdued him quickly and revealed that Max was alive. Once tensions cooled, Wyatt opened up about Lendina. She wasn't just another crime boss. She had ruled the town for 2 generations and had even murdered his father. Wyatt feared his son would inherit the same curse, and he wanted the cycle broken. Knowing Lendina would soon be coming for them, Wyatt revealed a hidden arsenal, an entire room stocked with weapons his father had gathered in an attempt to bring her down. Wyatt urged all the local families to evacuate, handing them tickets out of town. Just then, Harry arrived, and together, the group fortified their defenses with traps and explosives. With no time to waste, Hutch, Wyatt, and David prepared for the inevitable siege. On the other side, Lendina gathered her army, personally leading them into battle. Through a live satellite feed, she pinpointed Hutch's location and sent a squad to kill everyone in his family. Inside, Becca refused to hide. She handed her son the responsibility of watching over the rest, then armed herself with a sniper rifle, determined to fight alongside Hutch. Meanwhile, Abel approached once more, offering a truce and a promise of safety if they surrendered. Hutch and Wyatt rejected the offer outright. Enraged by his failure, Lendina ordered Abel's death along with Hutch's entire crew. The battle erupted in chaos. The traps and explosives tore through Lendina's forces. In a twisted hall of mirrors, Hutch used the reflections to outwit and eliminate his pursuers. Wyatt lured a squad into a minefield, killing many before a bullet struck his leg. He stumbled but managed to drag his enemies into yet another trap. At the same time, David unleashed heavy gunfire from a mounted weapon, mowing down wave after wave of attackers. But he too was shot, and another bullet tore into Hutch's arm. The fight was far from over. Meanwhile, Lendina's top commander was intercepted by Harry, who revealed a side of himself nobody expected. Beneath the calm exterior, he was a seasoned black-clad ninja with lethal precision. Moving like a shadow, Harry dispatched the guards one after another until only the commander remained. The two faced off in a one-on-one katana duel. The man taunted Harry with words meant to break his focus, but instead, they fueled his rage. In a lightning strike, Harry sliced the commander's blade clean in half, split his gun in two, and finished the fight by carving a brutal slash across his face. Before he could regroup with his nephews, Brady had already taken down one of the guards who tried to ambush them. At the same time, Hutch tended to Wyatt's wounds and urged him to hold on. But his attention shifted when he spotted Lendina herself. She stepped out, reminding him of the empire he had just destroyed. Hutch, battered but unyielding, gave a cold reply. Nobody had sent him, he was acting on his own. Two of Lendina's deadly enforcers burst through the doorway, launching a coordinated assault on Hutch. Their speed and precision nearly overwhelmed him, and for a moment, it looked like he wouldn't survive. Lendina ordered them to finish him, but from a distance, Wyatt managed to steady his aim and fire. The second rushed Hutch in fury, but he shot her down as well. Enraged, Lendina hurled a knife at Wyatt, impaling him. She closed in, ready to kill Hutch herself, but Becca intervened, firing a tranquilizer dart that pierced Lendina. Staggering but still fierce, Lendina threw a dagger at Becca in retaliation. Becca didn't flinch. She fired again, this time dropping her for good. Nearby, David regained consciousness just in time to see more of Lendina's men swarming the grounds. He ordered everyone to jump into the pool for cover. With his last strength, he triggered the explosives they had set. A deafening blast ripped through the compound, flames consuming everything in sight. Harry gathered the kids and reassured them that they were safe now. Back in the present timeline, Hutch is once again in the interrogation, bloodied and bruised. When asked who they really were, Becca replied that they were married. Before the questioning could go further, a call came through demanding his immediate release. The authorities had no choice but to comply. Free at last, Hutch reunited with his family. Despite the destruction they had endured, not a single one of them had been lost. Together, they began discussing where their next family vacation would be, as if daring the world to test them again. The movie ends here. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and click the bell icon to get notified for more recaps.